this is Occupier Kaylin coming to you live from in front of the Neil Smith Federal Building. This is Take Back Our Healthcare Rally, and it is, I think there's a national, so there are events going on elsewhere around the country, I believe, either at the same time or different times for today. This is calling on the government to not only stop trying to scrap the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare, but to actually make it better so that everyone has access to health care, regardless of income, regardless of your life situation, regardless of where you live, and all that. So there will be some doctors and nurses speaking, as well as other advocates for better health care access. It's a bit windy here, so I apologize in advance for any wind noise that you'll hear. Other people are just now arriving.
Tell me your name.
Kaylin.
Kaylin.
Yeah, I'm wearing it.
Oh, Kaylin. Kaylin is in my wife, Paula.
Hello.
Kaylin is in every event that ever was and is.
Well, I tried. There have been a few that I missed, either because I either couldn't get there, or I just completely forgot about it, or I didn't even know about it. When you don't drive, that kind of makes it hard to get to some places. So for that Boone Camp, I'm...
It means to serve God. Although
Yeah, so for that the Boone Camp, I've requested a ride.
Oh, okay. Oh, for the...
The No Back on 30.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at the Ledges.
Good.
That's August 31st or September 1st, but I'm kind of curious if people might want to camp until Sunday.
Yeah.
Iowa CCI on his shirt stands for Iowa Citizens for Community Improvement. I am a paid member of that organization. You got a pen? I got several. Okay.
Yeah, but that would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This should get started in a few minutes. One of the other photographers is doing it.
Check.
Okay. There you go. table that has been set up.
That's okay. Which is
There are informational flyers. There are shirts. Red shirts similar to the ones that the nurses union wore when they were working for a Bernie Sanders campaign or rallying for Bernie.
Yeah, probably.
How are you?
More people are showing up and picking up signs. Moving back over here so I can face the podium. There are a few people here already. There's a continued call for what's known as universal health care or Medicare for all, which would be something like so many other countries have, where everyone has access to health care coverage regardless of their income or life situation. So even if you're homeless, you would be guaranteed at least access to basic health care. The U.S. is one of the few countries that does not do anything like that. I have Medicare because I am considered disabled, but that does not cover everything. I cannot get vision coverage, I cannot get dental coverage, I cannot get hearing coverage, even though I do not need that, but my mother needs it. She cannot get any hearing coverage other than, the basic hearing test that any primary doctor could give. But if she were to go to an audiologist, she would have to pay out of pocket for that. And all she has been able to do so far is experiment with different over-the-counter acoustic boosters. When she's currently testing is something that looks like a headset with a mic, and then it clips into a receiver unit that she can clip to a pocket or put a lanyard on and wear it around her neck. But that cannot be tuned specifically to her type of hearing loss or the frequencies that she would need boosted. Yep. Which is good. Are showing up. Plus, I think they're waiting on some more speakers. I just went and took a picture of two people holding a small banner. It says "People Over Profit." Republicans have their way, things could revert back to before the Affordable Care Act became effective, where insurance companies could deny people for new coverage if they have a pre-existing condition, or if parents would no longer be able to keep their adult children on their own insurance up until age 26, which is current standard, allowing for and accommodating those who are going to college and do not have access to, say, a university healthcare coverage or some other insurance through a job or other source. So, for instance, my niece will go off of my older sister's coverage next year, because that is when she will turn 26. And she will have to either get some other source or try to apply for Medicaid and hope that she qualifies. Again, this is in front of the Neil Smith Federal Building. This location is picked because it is a symbol of the federal government. I think we're still waiting for some speakers, and someone just honked. We haven't even started, and a driver saw the signs and honked to show their support. There's another one that did it.
Azure, graduated. We got a candidate for governor right I've been donating to senior citizens. I've got your
Hey, people, come on in. Woo! Medicare for all. All right, let's get this rolling the show. Folks, let's come on up around here. Let's gather around. And if we could get our speakers up here, it would be great. Speakers can come up by the podium. Come on around, don't be shy.
Can I leave my umbrella with you?
Yeah.
Well, welcome. How's the sound on this? Is it too loud? Too soft?
It's perfect.
Okay, good. My name is Michael McKinley, and I'm a registered Democrat. I'm a proud member of the Progressive Caucus of the Iowa Democratic Party. I'm a proud member of the Polk County Central Committee, of the 3rd Congressional District Central Committee, and I'm a proud member of Our Revolution, Democratic Socialists of Iowa, Iowa Citizens for Community Improvement, Justice Democrats, and Brand New Conduit. And I am angry at David Young for his lies and his betrayal. And I'm angry at Republicans like Charles Grassley and Joni Ernst, who are working so hard to deny the clear public interest and instead defend the obscene private profits of the monopolistic insurance industry and Big Pharma. They are gleefully destroying health care in America. 54 million people will be denied insurance by 2026. This means literal, actual death for millions. They are literally killing us. This is unconscionable. Are we going to stand for it? No. Are we going to hold them accountable? Yeah. Well, let's tell them. I've got a little chant for you here. Health care is a human right. Health care is a right. Hey. Health care is a human right. Health care is a right. Hey, health care is a human right. Health care is a right. Hey, health care is a human right. Health care is a right. Hey, health care is a right because life is a right. The most basic of all human rights. That's right. I am in solidarity with the 72% of Americans and more than 90% of Democrats across America in standing with vigor and dogged determination for improved and expanded Medicare for all. H.R. 676, as introduced by John Conyers and co-sponsored by 110 House Democrats. The time for Medicare for all is now. What do we want? Medicare for all. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Medicare for all. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Medicare for all. When do we want it? Now. Medicare for all is the best way. Indeed, it's the only proven way to improve on the Affordable Care Act and solve the terrible health care emergency being wrought by the Republicans. H.R. 676, National Improved Medicare for All, will say goodbye to predatory private health insurance. It will extend Medicare to every person living in the USA. It will provide comprehensive benefits, including mental health, vision, hearing, dental, and prescriptions. It will put health decisions back in the hands of patients and health professionals. It will include all health providers in one universal network. No more narrow networks, no more out-of-state exclusions. Everyone's in the network. It will end, once and for all, it will end health insurance premiums, co-pays, deductibles, and all medical bills. It will be paid for through progressive taxes, 3% for the bottom 40% of earners, up to 6% for the top 60% of earners, with 95% of all Americans spending only a fraction of what they spend now for insurance premiums, deductibles, and co-pays in these taxes. In other words, for me, a 3% tax on my income would amount to about $1,000 a year. That's as opposed to the $12,000 a year that I am paying in premiums, plus $6,000 in deductible, plus $7,000 in co-insurance, out-of-pocket co-pays. So this clearly is so much better for all of us. It is one of the reasons, only one, but one of the reasons why Medicare for All will save the United States more than $6 trillion over the next 10 years. It will control healthcare spending and stimulate the economy in many other ways as well. I believe that this is the only true way to universal health care. Why is that? Well, let's tell them why. Everybody in, nobody out. 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 Everybody in, nobody out.
Oh, he just got driven off.
Nobody out.
Must be a Trump supporter.
Now what can we do?
Must have been a Trump supporter.
Let me ask. Raise your hand if you're a member of our revolution.
I'm a veteran.
Raise your hand if you're a member of Iowa CCI. Raise your hand if you're a Democratic Socialist of America. Now, raise your hand if you're a registered Democrat. Okay? How about those of you who are registered non-party independents? How about those of you who are registered third party?
It's sounding USA. I don't know what.
How about those of you who are registered as Republicans? You gonna raise your hands back there?
The trolls are back.
Those that raise your hands as a registered Democrat, those of you that raise your hands as a registered Democrat, who among you have joined the Democratic Party? Who among you have joined the Progressive Caucus of the Iowa Democratic Party? Right? We must organize. We must take action. And I happen to believe that the most effective place is within the Democratic Party, that we need progressives like you to come within the party and help us to reform it. But whether you act within the party or without, above all, we must let the powers that be, Republicans and Democrats, know that we are holding them accountable to represent the public interest and not private profit. That means that we must act now to assemble and organize and make our voices heard. We are voters and we are the bosses, and in spite of those insurance and pharmaceutical millions, we hold the power. Because we hold the number. The power is in our feet and in our voices. Let this assembly be the first of many, ever larger and ever more vocal actions as you enlist your neighbors and friends and compatriots to join the demand for Medicare for all. As Bernie has said, when millions join together and demand what is just and right, nothing can stop us. The only way this will happen is as an organized movement that swells into millions of people demanding action in the public interest.
I think those.
Some say that no matter how powerful this movement becomes, the big bad Republicans won't allow Medicare for all to pass. I don't know about that. With enough people raising their righteous voices, with enough Republicans fearful for their jobs, we might find this movement morphing into a bipartisan one. Stranger things have happened. Actually, I wonder if the most powerful opposition, sometimes I wonder, if the most powerful opposition to Medicare for all is not coming from some Democrats, is coming from some Democrats. Corporate establishment Democrats, beholden to insurance monopoly dollars, big pharma dollars. Just as in 2009, when single-payer advocates were excluded from the discussion, hearing, and debate over the ACA, not by big bad Republicans, but by a Democratic president who had campaigned for single-payer, and Democratic senators who, to all one, had received huge campaign contributions from the insurance and pharma industries. Then, the public option was offered as a sop to single-payer advocates to silence them. This halfway measure that would lead to single-payer, we were told. It would be the back door to single-payer, we were told. And then, with the single-payer advocates silenced, and at the urging of the insurance and the pharmaceutical industries, the public option was taken off the table. You remember this in 2010?
Yeah.
And at the urging, and the public option taken off the table by the same Democrats who had earlier torpedoed single-payer. All this was when Democrats had a 60-vote majority in the Senate. Now we're watching a repeat of 2009 and 2010. In the face of a groundswell of support for Medicare for all, we are hearing murmurs from corporate Democrats for a public option to once again deflect this movement. Yes, the 110 co-sponsors of H.R. 676 are a record number. That's about half the number it will take to pass in the House. This is an incredible thing. Yet my focus is on the 90-odd numbers of the Democrats who have not signed on to co-sponsor this bill. Why not? More than 90% of all the Democrats who voted you into office, the rank-and-file Democrats, the voters, want H.R. 676 to pass. We want Medicare for all. Why are these House Democrats refusing to represent the people who voted them into Congress? Why are they proposing a public option instead? No one is agitating for a public option. And a public option is no more likely to pass with a Republican House than H.R. 676. A public option makes no sense without an intact Obamacare, with intact exchanges. So why this deflection, if not to co-opt the drive for Medicare for all? I say, follow the money. We need a concerted national campaign to pressure these Democrats to get on board with the clear public interest, Medicare for all. I will not rest until every House Democrat has signed on as a co-sponsor of this bill. And if it means shaming them to do so, so be it. So I'm asking you to join us in a national telephone, email, and write-in campaign to let those House members know that we will hold them responsible. We will hold them accountable. Even Bernie Sanders is dragging his feet on introducing the Senate version of H.R. 676. We've been waiting for months now for him to act on his promise. So we need you to telephone his office in the Senate, right? Telephone his office in the Senate, and I'll give you the phone number. It's 202-224-5141. I'll give that again. 202-224-5141. And tell him he needs to introduce the equivalent of H.R. 676 in the Senate right away. The movement is building, and the time for Bernie to act is now. In the wrap-up, we're going to have some more specific actions you can take right now to help this movement build into an unstoppable force. In the meantime, what do we want? When do we want it? Now! What do we want? When do we want it? Now! What do we want? When do we want it? Now! Okay. Well, thank you so much. Now I'm pleased to introduce our first speaker in our lineup for today. He's a gentleman who is contemplating a run for the 3rd Congressional District against David Young. And he's here to speak to you about why Medicare for All is essential. And I would like for us all to give a big welcome to Pete Delisandro.
My remarks are just a little longer than Michael's, so we should be good. We should be good. My name is Pete Delisandro, and I'm considering a run for Congress in the 3rd District. But I don't stand here today as a candidate. I stand here as someone who's been an organizer for 20 years and just humbled by the work that so many of you around this plaza have done to make this the issue of the time. And so I'm actually here to thank you for doing it. It is a dream that progressives have had since Harry Truman, and it has had some obvious valleys to it, but since he introduced it in the 40s, progressives have, in good times and bad times, have kept it alive, and I think we are as close as we've ever been in this country with the Conyers bill of being able to have a Medicare for All system. I want to tell you a little bit about myself because I think it explains where I get the value system, and I bet this is pretty similar to a lot of you where you get the value system that says that everyone should have access to health care. We were talking about it over here. Even if our friends from the Trump team fell off their tractor there, we still believe they should have health care. And that value comes from, I'm the oldest of 5 kids. As the son of a stay-at-home mom and a Teamster diaper man. My dad delivered diapers. That's what he did. He would deliver diapers and he would pick up the used ones, and then that happened every week. Every day, every week. My dad used to joke that he was the only guy that worked outside who enjoyed the winters more than the summers. But because of that union contract he had, my family, he was able to raise a family in a great neighborhood with great schools and even better neighbors. And one of the reasons that was the case, not just for us, but for our whole neighborhood, was that because of that contract, he had great health care. And so there was never the pressure of the idea that something could happen in that particular area that could ruin all of the work and all of the savings that he had done to help build his family and in essence help build that community that he lived in. And because of those values, then we learn not just at home, but in that neighborhood, in that community. My siblings and I were taught that there's something greater than ourselves, and that the value system that we have is that we have an obligation, because we are blessed in certain ways, to help those who are not as blessed. That's what this bill would do. That would be the equivalent of this nation saying that value is going to be a value of our government. That's why I support it. That's why even if I don't run for this office, I will continue to be out here with you fighting to make this happen. As Michael mentioned in his very kind introduction, I did have the honor of a lifetime to work for Bernie Sanders as his state coordinator here in Iowa, and then work for him in 6 other states around this country. And one of the things that happened that I always knew this was right, but one of the things that happened here and in those other places is that I got to talk to so many people in various places, telling me their stories and telling me why they were drawn to this movement, and so many of them were based on healthcare and the affordability. And affordability isn't even the right word. It's just total access, and the access that we need for healthcare in this country. You know, I think about the widow in Oklahoma, the senior woman who literally cuts her medication she needs in half because that's the only way that she can afford the food that she puts on her table. And now she's in a position where she's worried that even that might go away, because she may have to decide whether or not
Street trolls are back.
The richest country in the history of the world, whether or not she can stay in a community that she helped build, or take the choice of moving somewhere else and being able to pay for her health care. I think about the dock worker that I got to meet that was in our office almost every day in Oakland, who has worked his whole life, has played by the rules, has done what you're supposed to do, and is now petrified that he may lose everything that he built for his family, everything that he did his whole life to work, because his wife has been diagnosed with breast cancer, and they don't know if what the insurance they have is going to be able to pay for it and keep them solvent. And they earned that. He did that. He built that family. He built that situation, and now he's worried that he may lose that. And that's wrong. And we can do better, and that's why we're for this bill. That's what this bill would stop. And I think about the single mom that we met, again, a great supporter, but a single mom whose story right here in Des Moines, who's, again, terrified. And that is the right word. That is not hyperbole. That her daughter, who was born with a pre-existing condition, born with a heart problem, she's terrified that her daughter will not have the quality of life that is her birthright as an American, because they may decide that that pre-existing condition isn't covered any longer, and she will not get the quality of care she deserves because she's an American. This bill would stop that.
There's some hogging, drawing up Trump support.
The simple fact
Why are they
of the
chanting
matter-
USA? I don't get it.
The simple fact of the matter is this.
Yeah, what's up with that?
We need to work every day we can, and we might. And even if we don't make it this time, we're going to keep working until we do. Because you know what? The people who work in this building, they already got government health care. They're not going to be out here with us. They already got it. And I'll tell you another thing. There are a lot of people in this country. There are industries based that spend millions and millions of dollars a year that send people to work every day. And those industries and those people's jobs every single day is to figure out a way that they can offer you the least amount of health care insurance at the highest price that they can get for it. That's why we need this bill. That's why we need to keep fighting for this bill. And I will take it a step further. Whether it's Senator Ernst, whether it's Congressman Young or Senator Grassley, They are owned by the lobbyists of that group of people, and they have proven that they cannot be the solution to this problem. They are the opposite of the solution to this problem, and we need to work against that, and we need to make it happen in this country.
Yelling, street trolls are yelling Trump.
And there are so many other great candidates here, and I want to give them a chance, people that are actually candidates right now, to get up here and say a few words. But one of the things I noticed on the calendar, if I do decide to do this, the Democratic primary in Iowa in 2018 is on the 50th anniversary of when we lost Robert Kennedy. And Robert Kennedy used to say that the future may be beyond our sight, but it's not beyond our grasp. And that we have an obligation to grab for it and mold it to our will. Maybe a generation from now, if we keep doing this right, if we keep the battle up, a generation from now, perhaps they will look back at us and say, that is the time. That was the generation in which the Democratic Party once again stopped polling everything, stopped looking how to get to 51%, stopped looking how to triangulate to try to win an election, and because they tried to win the future, they started winning elections again. I think this bill is the key to that. I will fight for it whether I'm a candidate or not. I will fight for it if I do decide to run, and I'm lucky enough and honored enough to go to the Congress. But that is what we need to rededicate ourselves to. I am honored to be here with you because you have already rededicated yourselves to that idea. We can do this. We can make it happen, and we will make it happen regardless of how much they honk when they drive by. Thank you.
People here chanting USA. That ought to drive them nuts.
Wow, thank you very much, Pete. That was very, very good. Now I'd like to introduce someone else who is running for the privilege of defeating into the ground David Young in the 3rd Congressional District is Anna Ryan.
Good afternoon. Like you said, I'm Anna Ryan, and I'm running for the 3rd Congressional District in 2018. I'm here today because I support H.R. 676, Medicare for All. And it so happens that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So I want to talk today about one of the reasons that I support Medicare for All, and that is a mental health care issue that is very close to my heart. The Centers for Disease Control describes depression as a serious medical illness with mood, cognitive, and physical symptoms. In one CDC study, only 1/3 of people with severe depression had seen a mental health professional in the last year. That means 2/3 of people with severe depression don't get help. My dad was one of those people. And in 1999, at the age of 51, he committed suicide. Of course, one of the reasons people don't get help is the stigma that continues to be associated with mental